Hello everyone and welcome. Today I'm going to be showing off my build that I've been working on. So our mine crystals are going to be very standard stuff. Shop items cost 90% less is something that I like to take, but depending on your entropy settings you might want to change it, or maybe you don't like that one. The rest of the stuff is very standard stuff. Entropy settings I'm going to be using are maxed out enemy HP, but I'm not going to be raising their damage too high, because I need to learn how to deal with the extra boss attacks more efficiently before I do that. It's mostly trying to do it on top of commentary is the issue. I can do them a lot better when I'm not speaking. If you're running stuff that's messing with the shops, then that's where the discount gets a lot less useful. But if you don't have any nerfs to the shop, then I find the discounts to be pretty strong. Especially if I'm discarding tactics to get a lot more money. I'd like to go a Lambda, but I don't think I have any that just has the legacy tactics that I want. Lambda's passive to get more MP back would be nice. But I think I'm just gonna go Ice Spike marks with Stable Mark and summon Ice Spikes. I wish I had a better Jin for this, but I had to delete it because they're running out of space. I hope they add more space. I know I can add, like, I can copy my save file over, and it'll transfer the Evo types, but that doesn't really do a whole lot. It let me, like, have different types of Evo types on different save slots, but that gets really annoying to keep track of which ones are where. So, there's gonna be some lag in the first, maybe, room or two. It's not something that's wrong with the recording, it's just something that happens on the game itself for some reason. Every time I start up the game for the first time, it does that. I'm not gonna be doing a whole lot of damage the first couple of rooms as well, just because I don't have any potentials, and most of the legacy tactics that I got, I need to activate. It's not something I start with. So for this build, I'm going to be maxing out Exil, which is the throwing javelins. The game refers to them as javelin, but I'm just gonna call them throwing spears, because that's what I'm more used to calling them. Any of the upgrades for it will work, but really you want the first and the third one. The second one is mostly only good for activating hidden effects on the first and the third. I want to be adding on Skill Cold into this. You can also go Chain Lightning on skills, it's strong. It doesn't have as much boss DPS is the problem though. And you're really never having issues with normal enemy rooms too often. I think you always want to try and build around boss damage when possible. Unless you're specifically like trying to speedrun or something through regular stages. Now that I have the potential, it really increased my damage a lot already, as you can see. Now when I throw the spears... Oh, also, show them in just a second. This is the tactic that I want, just to give my spears a lot more base damage. And then Frost Burst is never a bad thing to go for. So now, if I hold down the spear button, I can aim my spear in different directions, and the spears will also bounce. Lets the spears do multiple instances of damage. and it makes it much stronger. I think also they get a damage increase for each bounce. Yeah, it says it deals increasingly more damage as it bounces. When I was first theory crafting this build, I wanted to try it with Rend because the spears themselves knock back enemies pretty far. But Rend just does not do any damage, it feels like. I had it where I was testing on some of the Sakura City enemies, and those stages have really long, flat areas to really throw enemies around on. And I threw one all the way off screen, and he still had 75% of his HP back. My Rend was just not dealing any damage. So this build isn't going to stack up Frost Cold with the skills as quickly as a lot of builds would, but it's still really worth it for the just flat damage to my skill, as well as the Summon Ice Spikes will automatically be proccing the Frost Burst for me too. I do want this eventually, but I'd rather have the other ones first. I think I can afford to use some of my rerolls. I don't want to waste too many of them though, so I'll just get it. It'll be good for activating my hidden effects anyway, so I would need it at some point. It's just not as good on its own. So now the spears push enemies much farther than before, which can definitely have its uses for, like, pushing enemies into traps and stuff. But overall, I don't really like it as much. Sometimes if you're not dealing enough damage, it just knocks enemies away from you, which is really annoying. I think you don't have to deal with the pushback as much if you're throwing the spears into the ground, or making them bounce off a wall in some kind of way. They only bounce if you do the aiming thing. They don't bounce if you just throw them normally. I can also grab some Umbra stuff to go along with the build if I see it, like the Shadow Dash and then Shadow Spikes on my regular attacks. That, I don't know, the claw attack's so weird. Or the grab attack. There's a lot of times where it looks like it shouldn't hit you, but it just does anyways. God damn, I wanted to get a bounce from the spear there since he's in the corner. Sometimes it feels like it's not, like, registering that I'm trying to aim it. There we go. I was able to get a couple hits off there. Just by bouncing it off the corner. I handled that badly. I should have lured the missiles over, like, to this side, away from him. That way the fire would be away from him. But that's okay. I have a really hard time dealing with that triple dash, but I managed to dodge it there. That was a really good sweeper fight. I think I only got grabbed that one time, but other than that, it would have been a perfect clear. Okay, perfect. I got all my Javelin upgrades already. Once you get either the first and second one, or the second and third one, it starts activating hidden effects. And that's where the spear build becomes really powerful. So now when I throw it out, I can return it to me. It'll restore MP based on the number of enemies it hits on the way back. But from the first and second skills, Hidden Effect, it also gains MP when I throw it out. And then from the second and third skill effect, whenever the Javelin travels back to me, there's a timing window where I can throw it again, and this does not seem to have any kind of cap. You can see right there, I was able to throw it multiple times. It's really tricky to get used to the timing, especially because the timing will change based on how far away you are. So it has a lot of room for like skill gap or skill growth, but it's not really hard to play in itself either. I feel like that's a really common theme of this game, where most builds have a really low barrier to entry, but they have room for skill expression. So I think the bouncing spears are mainly what you want to use for regular enemies, since they die so quickly anyways. You don't really get a lot of chances to really chain the spears together. And then I think bosses are where you want to start doing the chain throwing. See, like there I threw the spear a second time, but everything was just dead anyways, so it didn't matter. There are some rooms, like the survival-based rooms, where the chain throwing could be really strong. There's another really good use for the chain throwing that will come up once I get my SP skill. Oh man, it's so fun. It feels really satisfying to land the multiple chain throwing back to back. It probably doesn't look as cool just watching it, but like I said, the feeling of actually executing it is really satisfying to me. It might not be the same way for other people, but I really enjoy it. Oops, I tried to aim my skill there, but I think I'm trying to execute things way too quickly. I'm just getting the regular throw instead. Guess I'll go ahead and get mine. That extra Maple Gust can be good against certain bosses too. I'm mostly going to be focusing around the spear throwing though, because that's what I really want to showcase. I usually see most people talking about her other builds and not her spear throwing. So I really want to showcase this build. Here's a good chance to do some of the bouncing once I have a corner to throw it off of. I start having MP problems when I do those though. I wish there was a way to get like MP regen somehow. Oh, that was a good chain of throws. It's so satisfying for me to do it. This might be one of my favorite builds. Like I said, I don't know if it's as satisfying to watch the consecutive throws, but it feels really cool to play. I think this is okay to do because of my shop discount. I can either get free mixtures, or I can save enough money throughout the run that I can buy mixtures back without it being too much of a problem. I don't think I want to worry about tactics. I want to worry more about potentials. Because there's a 20% damage bonus you get for any potential you pick up. And then there's a 20%, there's an additional 20% to potentials of that potential tree. So when I picked up like all my spear upgrades, the spear throwing upgrades, I was getting 40% damage to those every time I got one. And that's where it can be important to rush upgrades of a certain type if you're going for like a very specific build. I have a hard time dealing with this. That time it seemed like my pattern was way easier. Sometimes it seems like I only get 2 rocks instead of 3. And it's like they're spread out from when they're appearing, and I just get stuck to where I don't have one. Oops. I thought I could kill him before that would go off. That was a really sloppy into the boss fight. So now I have all the upgrades I need. I can just throw on some extra dashing upgrades to add on to it. One of the issues with Mai is that she doesn't have any universal upgrades like other characters do, which feels really strange. It's especially a problem because of the way that potential scaling works that I was talking about, where if I had potential, or if I had universal potentials, I could be scaling my spear throwing by another 40% with each potential, but I have to scale it 20% at a time by taking other kinds of potentials instead. Hopefully the damage mechanics from potentials make sense. It's kind of an obscure mechanic that you don't really notice much unless you're trying to stack it. I could try to make like a guide video about it, but I don't really know how I could explain it any better or in more depth than just you get a 20% bonus for every single potential you take, and then an additional 20% towards the attack that you're upgrading with potentials. And that's where I was saying that the universal ones are so powerful because they're upgrading the damage of all your attacks at the same time. Oh, I need to pick up light for my holy marks. I kinda honestly forgot about them. The potentials themselves are doing strong enough that I'm not worried too much about the talents that I get. So I should show off something else about this build. I'll use my SP skill there, and then watch my SP meter. Ah, shoot. I need to get the chain throws off. So I'm at 24 SP. Oh, I can't run Dashing Shadow with this, that's right. But that's not a big deal. So I'm at 24 SP right now. It won't go up unless I'm actually hitting an enemy. But Mai's SP goes up every time you hit an enemy with a spear. And that plays off of her chain throwing spears to really stack up a lot of MP quick, or stack up a lot of SP quickly without having to spend much MP. I think I have all of my ice upgrades unless I can get a red off of what I have. And it doesn't look like I can unless I pick up Legacy Icicles. I could pick those up, but I would rather start going... Well, do I have any? No, I don't need the light upgrade either. The light upgrade is just triggers marks on other enemies, which, like I said, I'm not worried about any enemy killing effects. I'm only worried about single target damage. I'm trying to think of what else I could get Shadow for my attacks. I could get Fire Spirits. None of them really matter too much though. So now you can see my SP really spiked up there quickly when I was throwing and catching the spears against enemies. I'll show it off a boss and it'll be much more noticeable there. Those enemies just weren't wanting to die for some reason. So I guess there's my Legacy Icicles for the red that I can use. I want to go to the exchange, but I should probably get rid of some of these debuffs. The butterfly debuff is really annoying. And now here, luckily, I got another exchange I can use. Max MP upgrades are always really nice for skill builds. I wish there was a more consistent way to get max MP. I'm not gonna bother with tactics, I'm just gonna save my money. I'd like to get some HP mixtures though. I'm just not getting lucky with the shop. I'm not gonna spend on tactic ascensions either. I really want to just be scaling my spear damage by getting more potentials. Though I should maybe, yeah, I should have tried to ascend the frost itself. That way my damage was scaling up. But oh well. Now this is the boss where the Blossom Tornado can come in handy. This and Oreed, where they kind of float up in the air and stay in place. You can get a tornado right onto them and it'll deal a lot of damage. Especially because it's stacking up the frost stacks. This will finish off my dash. So now I get, all I have to do is hit the dash button, and my dash is now turned into an attack. It goes a lot faster and maybe farther too as well. The main thing is, it unlocked my triple dash. I'm not really going to be caring about the damage of the dashes much. Just going to be using it for mobility. You can do a build that really focuses around the dash damage, and it's one of her stronger builds. I enjoy doing it, but I have problems with motion sickness from all the camera movement. Especially if I'm, like, dashing up into the air a lot. There we go, this will help me stack up my frost. I won't be using the icicles that often, but I I think there's an upgrade where they hit on their own that I could get. Or it'll just help occasionally when I use my legacies. Trying to see how much my spears are doing, but there's a lot of overlapping numbers. Hard to tell. I think I want to upgrade my holy marks. No. Yeah, I'm not sure which one is better because my ice spikes are inflicting holy marks. I'll go with the Frost Burst, it's probably a safer option. The Holy Marks might have been better DPS, though. Let's see, I could go Fire, and maybe get my Fire Spirits on attacks. I'm not gonna be really attacking much to proc Chain Lightning, so I think this is my best option. In this case, at least. Shadow Spikes would have probably been really good on attacks if I saw it. Because I think the dashes are counted as an attack, if I remember correctly. We'll find out once I get the Fire Spirits. Oh man, juggling those spears are so fun. I know I've said it multiple times already, but every time I do it, it still remains fun to me. I'll try to show off the SP regen if I get a good boss for it. It just depends. The last boss was the floating eye thing, so I couldn't really show off the spear juggling against it. It's hard to do it, or it's hard to like hit enough spears against regular enemies too, since they're dying too quickly. That right there is the major downside of the build. When you end up pushing enemies way too far away, and you don't realize that they're not dead, it can be annoying. Do I want Attack Burn or Fire Spirit? I think the Fire Spirits are better damage. I don't know. It depends on how quickly they split. Attack Burn could be better DPS. I think I'll go for the Fire Spirits for more of the burst damage, though. Let's see, Afterlife Bombs and HP Mixture is less effective, are pretty tough debuffs. I'm on stage 3, so I think I'll get another rest area, though, by the end. And I can remove debuffs from here as well. Status damage boost is a really good one to look out for, especially if you're doing a run like mine, where you have a lot of buffs. What status damage boost does is give you extra damage for every buff and debuff that you have. I think I still don't want to bother buying any tactics. I'll save my money for potentials and MP. So I think here I don't need any more ice tactics or light tactics, so I'll just try and buff my fire spirits a little bit more. You hit a certain point in runs where it just kind of stops mattering. Once you have kind of your core tactics and your core potentials. wish the indicators for enemies being off screen would show up much sooner. They seem like they take a while to show up sometimes. I think like they should show up anytime an enemy is off screen almost. Room's a little bit more annoying sometimes, so I think I'm done with the annoying part though, so just having to focus on the teleporters takes a little bit more focus sometimes, and then a lot of the enemies are shooting projectiles at you while you're trying to do it too. I don't really get what the shape-shifting does for the fire spirits. On other things like the icicles, it's more noticeable, and the Ring of Fire. Ring of Fire is probably the most noticeable one. But for fire spirits, I didn't feel like I noticed a lot of a difference. Legacy MP recovery will be nice. And then hopefully this will remove the... Nope. I shouldn't have said anything. I wanted the afterlife bombs removed. Do I hit up another exchange? No, I think it's better to take the event and just spend my money in the Omega Sector shop. Gold tactic and debuff. Purple tactic. I don't really care about tactics anymore. I'll just take a white tactic. I don't really care. This might be a fight where I can show off the SP regen. I'm gonna freeze her, use my SP skill, and then see if I can get it. There, I'm already back up to 42. There we go, freeze her. Ah, come on. I'm still working on learning the timing. There we go. I just got a ton of SP from that, and then I can use the skill again. I'll try and freeze her again. Oh, that's really unfortunate. If I could've got like one more spear hit. But take a look at my SP. My SP's already at 78. This might be one of the fastest SP building builds. But I don't know, there's a lot of characters out there, so it's hard to say. I'm curious what kind of like damage my jump upgrades are scaling, because I don't have any type of jump attack with my... So does... I don't know. There's a lot of really weird mechanics to this game. You can go really in-depth with trying to stack damage. I've gotten Lambda's damage up to the point where just my regular jump attacks were dealing over 2k damage because I was stacking the universal enhancement potentials, and I was doing a potential only run where I had high entropy, so every tactic I was selling for like 130 exchange points, and I was able to get a ton of tactics by the end of the run and just scale my damage up really high. Tactic-only runs might be something I'll feature on the channel at some point. They feel pretty tough until you get to like the third area of the game, sometimes the second area, depending on your potential luck. But they feel really, really powerful at the end of the runs, or like halfway through the runs towards the end. That was a really cool spear bounce. You can focus a lot on just the spear bouncing or the multi-spear throws. Either one is pretty strong. I think this build doesn't... I don't know. I haven't really ran a whole lot of the other builds, so it's hard to say. I think some of the other builds are a bit stronger, but this one doesn't feel like it's not viable either. I think I'll go back and check up here first. I have plenty of time left, so I'm not too worried about running out of time at Susano yet. I should have time to at least fight one boss, as long as I find it quick enough. This is the point of where I really start to notice the motion sickness with Mai's dashing and the Omega sector. The camera's moving really quickly now. It's a shame because I used to really love games like this where I could really test out my movement in like Metroidvania style stuff. But it's been maybe around a year now. I've really started to have problems with the motion sickness, to the point of where I can't even play most games anymore. I have to find really specific ones. This one works well for me because there's a lot of parts of the rooms or entire rooms where the camera stops moving. It doesn't follow you with every single movement you do. Let's see if I can get the right timing for this. I think I need to do a little bit more damage first. I'll freeze him here, and now I'll start... Oh, I missed my timing. The timing for the multi-spears is what I missed there. You need to freeze him and then do a certain amount of damage within a time window, and you can skip this phase that's going on. I wonder if you can't dodge through that, or I just got bad timing on it. Usually with triple dash, you can just kind of spam your way through most things. That's why I think triple dash is really broken. Damn, I sniped him from off screen there a couple times. That was pretty cool. I really like the Javelin Throwing build. Might not be something that other people enjoy as much, but I like it. My problem with the 1000 Spear build is that I don't like builds that lock you into place for a long time. I like being able to kind of do my own combos or move around or something. The chain throwing of the spears does lock me into place, but it's requiring me to do timing windows, which makes it fun to play. Kind of reminds me of like Phantasy Star Online in a way. The original version of it, not New Genesis or whatever the newer updated version is called. It had a similar mechanic to where all of your attacks had this certain timing window that would make them make your combos deal more damage. It made them feel a lot more satisfying. I'm tempted to buy a little bit more HP just to be safe here. I don't know if that really mattered much, but I guess I'll buy it. I could have also bought a Tactic Ascension for my Frost, which might have been a better idea. The Susano fight is the one that I'm worried about the most in terms of trying to play and commentate at the same time. This fight also feels really, to me it feels very like rhythm or momentum based, to where if I'm getting a lot of dodges, then I'll usually continue to dodge, but once I get hit once and it throws off my rhythm, I just start doing really badly. Like, there's a good example. This is the perfect example of it. This fight's also really tough to do the chain spear throwing stuff in. Just because, he's a lot more aggressive than most bosses, and he moves around a lot. That's where Jin's passive and freeze really comes into play. Also, that was a lot of chain throws I just got back to back. I'm getting a lot better at it. That's cool. I really struggled for the first couple of runs, getting the timing window down. Oops. That was bad. That didn't stun him? Huh. Interesting. Maybe it expired right before it went off, or he was just out of range or something. See if I can stun him again. Oh, come on! That's a really unfortunate time for that to fall down. Should be using my SP skill a lot more, too. I kind of forget about SP skills in this game, honestly. Already back up to 60 SP, by the way. And I could have been way better if I... Okay, let's see here. It's like, the more I think about trying to do the spears, I guess it's like I put pressure on myself, or I overthink it, and then I start missing them. Is it just, Huh. Were the spears, like, animation locking him there because of the cold? It looked like it. So yeah, that's the, I'll probably call it, like, Javelin Juggling or Spear Juggling build for mime. Really fun if you're looking for an alternative to the dash build or the 1,000 spears. There's another build with her too. I don't remember what it's called, but it's where you have like the stance combination things. I've heard that one's strong. I've just never tried it myself. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.